Okay, let's jump right in. We've got our hands on some pretty incredible source material today.
We really do. It's excerpts from this rediscovered fictional manuscript, The Between Roads.
And the source attributes this to Pamela Colman Smith, PCS, who, is the artist behind the iconic Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive is to really get into her whole conceptual framework. We're going on a journey, really, into her ideas about reality, creativity.
And exploring what these between roads actually are.
Exactly. And the legacy she left, which was, for so long, almost completely uncredited.
Yeah, and this isn't just about finding some lost story. It feels like a whole new way of thinking about the subconscious, about where creativity comes from.
Well, that's the thing. She believed these roads were real. They existed in this liminal territory.
That space between, what, life and death, sleeping and waking?
All of it, the visible and the invisible. But, and this is crucial, the source makes it clear this isn't just a metaphor for her imagination.
It's not a metaphor.
No. It's described as a real dimension of experience that people she calls bridge walkers or seers can actually access. People who kind of naturally live in multiple states of consciousness.
And here's the hook. This is what just completely blew my mind. She realized, decades after she made them, that her famous tarot cards weren't just something she invented.
They were a map.
An unintentional but deeply accurate map of these territories.
It's like being a cartographer who realizes the map they drew years ago was of a place they hadn't even consciously visited yet. She had to, walk the land to understand the symbols she'd already put on paper.
Which takes us right to the first threshold. The manuscript puts her in Cornwall. It's 1933. She's almost 56.
And she's struggling. Financially, professionally. She thinks her life's work has basically been a failure because no one knows her name.
And she's out walking a path she knows well, near the cliffs, but then something shifts.
Yes. She sees a new path branching off, one she's never noticed. It's overgrown with what she calls this peculiar silvery grass that grows in liminal places.
And it runs right between two of those ancient standing stones.
She instantly recognized it for what it was, a threshold she'd been missing her whole life. And she steps onto it, no hesitation.
And the moment she does, everything changes. The light, the air, it's all different.
It's a signal, right? The rules of our world, of linear time and fixed space, they just dissolve there. The source uses a great word for it, a palimpsest.
A palimpsest, so like
Yeah.
multiple layers all visible at once.
Exactly. Places aren't fixed in one time or location. The air might feel like the Jamaica of her childhood, but the ground under her feet is still Cornwall, and maybe in the distance is a memory of her Golden Dawn temple in London. It's all overlaid.
It's so vivid. And as she's walking into this strange new place, she meets her first oracle.
Uh-huh. 3 birds, crows, maybe ravens, sitting on a gate.
A gate with no fence, right? Just standing.
Standing there. And they call out to her, basically summing up her entire life in 3 words.
Late. Lost.
And found. It's just this powerful, brutal assessment. Late for fame and fortune. Lost because she'd been wandering without purpose. But found because now, finally, she's exactly where she needs to be. The roads have her.
And this leads her straight to her first real guide in this place, old Bessie, the spinner.
Old Bessie. She's always spinning thread, a keeper of the place. And she gives PCS these two foundational teachings right away.
The first one is about time, isn't it?
Yeah. Bessie just says time is largely a matter of consensus. And when you're always spinning, the hours rather run together.
So if you're completely absorbed in your work, the clock just fades away.
Yeah.
Deadlines, schedules, all that just doesn't matter.
It's a different state of being. And the second teaching is about seeking. Bessie tells her, those who come here knowing exactly what they seek rarely find it.
But those who come seeking without knowing, they have a chance.
Right. It's about surrender. You can't force discovery. You have to let the journey teach you what you need to know.
Which is when Bessie confirms it for her. The cards were the map, but now she has to actually walk the land.
And the place itself reinforces this idea.
Oh.
When she goes into Bessie's cottage, the inside is bigger than the outside.
Of course it is.
I mean, it's the ultimate sign that you're not playing by normal rules anymore. The cottage just looks like a cottage should look, borrowing its shape from PCS's own memories.
And inside, she finds a stack of books titled The Unwritten Books.
In her own handwriting.
Things she hasn't written or created yet.
It's the physical form of her future potential.
Mm-hmm.
All the work she never made, it already exists there, waiting.
Which is an incredible idea, but it also sets up a much heavier task that comes next, right? The journey shifts from discovery to, obligation.
A profound obligation.
Yeah.
This is what the manuscript calls the burden of witnessing.
She meets a man named Thomas, a soldier from the Great War.
And he's stuck. He died physically 3 years earlier, but he's trapped in the between, can't move forward or back.
That's incredibly bleak.
It is, but it clarifies her purpose. The real revelation happens in a place called the Cave of Voices. She doesn't just hear Thomas.
She hears all of them.
She hears the 1,000 Thomases he represented, all the unwitnessed, unmourned dead from the war. They're trapped because no one in the waking world truly saw their sacrifice or processed that grief.
So her ability as an artist to make the invisible visible suddenly becomes this huge moral responsibility.
It's no longer about making pretty pictures. Her purpose is to bear witness, to literally carry the weight of these souls and transform it into art, a story, something that can be shared so that they can finally be released.
That's an unbelievable burden to place on someone.
A tremendous burden. It completely reframes her art. It's not illustration anymore. It's an ethical necessity.
Which is probably why her next guide shows up almost immediately to talk about balance.
Exactly. She meets Aunt Nancy, who represents her Jamaican ancestry, her nurturing side, a total counterbalance to all that European war trauma.
And Aunt Nancy's message is simple.
It is. She warns her, don't carry only death. You have to balance it with life, with joy, with sorrow. Truth, she says, is always balanced.
And this is where she brings in the Orishas, right, from her childhood.
Yes, reminding her of this vibrant spiritual heritage that embodies both struggle and joy. It's about integration.
And then Aunt Nancy gives her the defining metaphor for her life's work. She doesn't call her an artist.
No. She calls her a mechanism. She says, you're a bridge, see? Between the worlds.
Bridges get walked on, get weight put on them. That's their purpose. A good bridge doesn't break. It flexes and holds.
To be a bridge is to be stable under immense pressure, which perfectly sets her up for the next part of the journey, when she has to confront her own identity and all her lost potential.
Right. She goes back to the library of unwritten books.
And this time she really looks at them. She sees these powerful, complex paintings of Orishas she never made, portraits of her childhood nursewomen. All the work that didn't pay the bills back in the real world.
And she's given a choice.
A huge choice. She could stay there in the between and just create. Fulfill all that potential without worrying about money or reputation.
Or she could remain the bridge. Go back to the waking world and continue the painful work of being a witness.
And she chooses the bridge. She chooses service over personal fulfillment.
And right after she makes that choice, she encounters the procession of mirrors.
Yeah, where she sees all these different versions of herself.
Yeah.
The hopeful young artist, the successful but unhappy version that might have been, the satisfied old woman.
It's like seeing every possible timeline.
It is. And the lesson is that identity isn't fixed. She is all yourselves and none of them. The self is just a collection of possibilities that she carries.
And this all leads to the final threshold, the bridge of light and shadow, where she meets William Butler Yeats.
This part gives me chills. Yeats had recently died. He was her colleague in the Golden Dawn, but he always kind of patronized her work.
He saw it as just illustration, right? Just coloring in his big ideas.
Oh, exactly. And here, in the between, he apologizes. He actually says to her that her cards have done more to spread the teachings of the mysteries than all my poems combined.
Wow. Posthumous validation is still validation. That must have been a massive moment for her.
Huge. But even after that, there's one last choice to make.
She finds a book of her journey, and it's open to the last page, which is blank.
And the choice is control versus truth. Does she write the ending herself, impose her will on the story, or does she leave it blank and surrender, trusting the flow?
And she chooses surrender.
She does. And that's why the next part of the manuscript is so amazing, because her story did continue long after she was gone.
So when she gets back to Cornwall, she writes all this down, but then puts the manuscript in a trunk. She still dies thinking she was a failure.
She did. The tarot deck was famous, but it was the Waite Tarot. No one knew her name. She thought her work would be forgotten.
But the seed was planted.
Decades later, 1962, a woman named Sarah Morrison finds the manuscript and the cards. And she's told, essentially, that she's the next walker.
So a lineage begins.
A lineage, yes. And between 75 and 85, more walkers who found the roads through her maps start finding each other. They form this community they call the network.
And their whole goal is to provide the support that PCS never had.
Right, to make sure no other bridge walker had to do it alone, in isolation. It's a conscious effort to build a community around this work.
And this is where things get really fascinating because the between roads themselves start to evolve.
They do. As human consciousness changed, as technology changed, the roads mirrored it. In 1985, a young man named Danny Nguyen, a computer native, he stumbles onto something new.
The digital territories, what
Yeah.
what even are those?
Not forests and cottages.
Yeah.
The source describes them as these vast, humming landscapes made of pure data flow and information networks. Think of a liminal space built from fiber optics and networked thought.
So you need a completely different kind of map for that.
A whole new kind of navigation. And that's where PCS shows up again. Not as a ghost, but as an aspect of herself woven into the fabric of the between.
A conscious projection.
Exactly. And she guides Danny, telling him that the network now needs people who understand both the subtle dimensions and technology. The bridge has to connect the ancient and the digital.
In this modern network, their work becomes much bigger than just personal discovery.
It becomes collective triage. The source talks about how they managed crises like the Millennium Spike, all that global anxiety around the year 2000, and then, much later, the pandemic threshold in 2020.
What happened then?
Well, with the collective isolation and trauma of the pandemic, the veils thinned. More people than ever started spontaneously finding the roads, and they were lost.
So the network had to manage metaphysical overcrowding.
That's a good way to put it. They described it as continuous stabilization. They're basically acting as guides in these suddenly crowded liminal spaces, helping people who are having these intense breakthroughs due to stress.
So her life wasn't a tragedy of an uncredited artist at all.
Not at all. It was the foundational act. From her perspective, in the pier, between, guiding these new walkers, she saw her failure as her ultimate success. She saw the work growing, transforming. She saw that her real work wasn't the cards. It was creating the map that allowed the network to exist.
Which brings us back to that core lesson of surrender. What's the final essential teaching she gave to the guides before she moved on, deeper into the pier?
Between. Her ultimate teaching, the one she said had to be the foundation for everything, was this. The work is never about you.
It's about serving something larger, with humility.
Total humility. She said recognition, the thing she wanted her whole life, is fool's gold. The real acknowledgement, she realized, is the fact that the path exists at all. The between roads themselves are the acknowledgement.
Wow. What stands out to me in all this is just the complete reevaluation of failure. Her lack of credit was actually necessary for the selfless communal network to be born.
And we see the importance of that unmade potential in the library of unwritten books, this idea that our dismissed ideas still have power.
And the need for integration, from Aunt Nancy's lesson, accepting all the parts of yourself, the successful, the disappointed, all of it, to make the bridge whole.
And the sources are very clear in reminding you, the person listening to this, that by engaging with these ideas, you're now part of this story. That reading itself is a kind of bridging.
Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought for you to take with you. The source suggests the work matters because it's true, not because it's recognized. So here's the choice she faced, now for you. If your life's work, your unique contribution, your own witnessing, was guaranteed to matter, guaranteed to spread through generations, but you were also guaranteed to do it in poverty and total obscurity, would you still choose to do it?